What's going on, guys? It is time to give a quick update of the 50-gallon SCA tank. For those who don't know, this tank is sold as a package system from SCA out of California. I believe they get it from China or internationally though. And it is a tank, sump, stand, all the return plumbing, return pump, and a skimmer. So it is really a full package. This tank has been set up for 90 days at this point, and I could not be happier with it. It's actually been moved into the warehouse since the last update video, but I did decide to keep the same aquascape on it. I really liked how it was developing and didn't want to change that. The color balance in this tank, the cantilevered rocks sticking out toward the front, and the different hiding places all contribute to the aquascape. I especially liked how you can spend a few minutes looking at this tank and feel like you haven't seen it all yet. There's so many nooks and crannies to look at. Even viewed from the top, it looks really cool. There's some cool yellow sponges and pallies that are starting up at the top. As far as the sump area goes, it's just running okay. For some reason, this SCA 301 skimmer is not getting tuned as well as it has been in the past. I've used a few of these skimmers before and have been able to tune them in really well, but this one is not the case. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I'm sure it'll get fixed eventually. The return pump initially made a pretty annoying vibrating noise, but once you get it placed right, it's not a problem, especially with the suction cups that come with it. Water comes down the sump and into the filter sock. One of the main selling points of this tank was its emergency drain. I really appreciated this and can't believe when I see 90+ gallon tanks that only have one drain line. Between snail buildup in the drain line and any other little things that got stuck in it, it would be very easy to clog up a 1-inch drain. Here's a shot of the crystal 5-gallon top-off I'm using on this tank. It goes through the 5 gallons in about a week, but your results may vary depending on local temperature and humidity. Now, if you haven't seen it before, this is an IVS portal that we're looking through, and it is just a magnifying glass that's sold. There's also a Flipper brand that just came out recently that's considerably cheaper, but I'm not sure the lens is as strong. This IVS portal is actually also a glass cleaner, so as you move it around on the glass, it cleans it. It's not quite as good as a normal mag float or a Flipper glass cleaner though. I recently switched to NLS flakes instead of their pellets. The fish weren't grabbing them fast enough and there were too many sinking, even though I was using the tiny pellets that were supposed to float. Algae was starting to build up quickly on the sand and glass, and it's slowed down since I switched to the flakes, so I'm happy with them. Now, I am sad to say that I'll be adding a lid to this tank. I really did not want to do that because I love how it looks from the top. But one of the clownfish jumped out the other night and died. You might also notice that the firefish is gone. I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure he was stung by the anemone. He was laying vertically under the anemone, kind of stunned looking, and I'd never seen something like that before. I figured the anemone would have just eaten him, but I actually fed the firefish to the anemone after he died. Also, I just realized that anemone, it's pronounced anemone, and I've been saying anemone for I don't know how long now. It seems so often nowadays that people's plan when they get a tank is just to buy every coral possible and stick it in there with little regard to how it will look when it's grown out or how the colors will interact with each other when they get a little bit more developed. So part of setting up this tank was really to focus on that art aspect of the tank, you know, the design aspect, how it's going to look in a couple of years. This is the first tank that I've made that I'm actually proud of. The aquascape, the overall layout of the tank, the way that it's going to grow up and develop over time. The one thing I do need to address is the fish and invertebrate situation, but that's something that will be addressed easily. This aquascape was built using well-established live rock. The corals have grown considerably since being added to the tank, but I think part of that is just from this tank having pretty low flow, so the corals are extending a lot. So, looking forward, after I get a lid added to this baby, I'm going to put a little tang in there. Now hold on, Tang Police. I know what you're thinking. Luckily, I have multiple tanks fit for tangs where it can be transplanted after growing up. It'll be just fine. There's some green hair and turf algae in here that needs to be taken care of. I'll also add a few crabs and snails to the tank, as there's barely any right now. It seems like every water change I do on this tank now, stray mushrooms and zinnia are just flying around. Sometimes I'll replant them in a place where I think they'll look good, but a lot of the times I just take them out of the tank and either sell them to a local reefer or put them into a different tank. I think the color of a yellow tang would contrast really well with all the corals and the clownfish that's in here. Here's a quick shot update of the aquarium room. I know it's messy, but it's coming together. If you guys have been enjoying the music in this video and some of my other videos, I would highly recommend checking out the band Just Neighbors. If you want to use them in your videos, I would definitely recommend contacting them first. They are a local band to Gainesville, Florida, and play a lot of really cool math rock. So check them out on Spotify or iTunes or justneighbors.bandcamp.com. Thank you guys.